For this demonstration, I'm going to be using Kobo yarn from the Lion brand and a size 4 crochet hook. This yarn is a light 3 yarn weight, and the recommended crochet hook size is a size 4. And can I just give you a disclaimer right here? This is not a beginner friendly yarn. I don't know what I was thinking. I guess I got it because it was cheap, but it's not beginner friendly. I do not recommend this yarn if you are a beginner like me. So I wrap it around my finger twice. I take one part, put it over, take one part, put it over again, and then I grab the two ends and I just pull, and you have a slip knot. So we want to wrap around twice, hold it, take the back, flip it over, take the back, flip it over, take the back, and pull the ends. A slip knot is an adjustable loop used to start a crochet project. It's important because it allows you to easily adjust the tension of your crochet work, which is especially helpful when you are just getting started and are still getting a feel for the yarn and hook you're using. So one of the hardest parts about this process was getting my tension right. I feel like not a lot of people talk about that. I don't feel that experienced crocheters who do these tutorials understand. Well, I'm sure they understood at one point, but I think they forget what it's like to hold the yarn for the first time. It is really, really awkward and uncomfortable. You feel like you're doing everything wrong, and it just feels funny. So different yarns are going to require different types of tension. For this yarn, I just wrapped the yarn around my pinky twice. I put my next two fingers on top of the yarn, my pointer finger under, and I just flip my hand over. I'm controlling the tension by squeezing my pinky and ring finger together, and also by how far I stretch my pointer finger. So again, we're just going to wrap it around our pinky twice, take our next two fingers, put it on top, take our pointer finger, put it on the bottom, and then just flip your hand over. I want to say, I think the amount of times I wrap the yarn around my pinky finger is what really makes it tense and not as tense. Throughout learning how to crochet for these past few weeks, I think it's better that the string really just kind of glides through your fingers. Like it shouldn't really be caught on anything, but at the same time, you should be able to hold the yarn with your hand to stop it from sliding at any given time. This really is just one of those things that you have to do for yourself to get a feel for, and you just have to practice. That's honestly what I did. I know this is like a 20-minute video, but this footage took me like a good 2 weeks to film because I was practicing that much and for like hours at a time some days. Now first I'm going to start with the chain stitch. The chain stitch is like the most basic stitch in crochet. It's the thing that you do at the beginning. It involves creating a foundation row, in other words, a chain of loops, which you then work your other stitches into. So in order to do this, I'm going to take the yarn behind my hook and I'm just going to pull it through the loop. The more I did this, I just feel like I was working my actual crochet hook more than I was my actual finger. So as you can see, I kind of take my crochet hook and I wrap it around the yarn. As long as the yarn is going behind the crochet hook, it really doesn't matter. Another tip that I did learn from doing this is you can take a larger crochet hook to make your chain stitch, because for whatever reason, when you make this chain stitch, as you're going back through with your other stitches, it gets like super tight. I found that making it really loose and using a bigger crochet hook is like really helpful when it comes to making your chain stitch. Do this like 100 times. I probably made like 100 loop long chain stitch just to get accustomed to doing it. Like this really is something that just takes practice. Now I'm moving into the single crochet. To work a single crochet, you're going to insert your hook through the stitch or through a hole in your chain stitch. You're going to take your yarn, put it over your crochet hook. You're going to pull through one loop, and then you're going to turn around and pull through two loops. So yarn over, pull through one, yarn over, pull through two. Yeah, and this is another thing. I just did it like multiple times over and over again until either it felt comfortable or it looked really good. I decided that yarn was not working for me. So I went to Joann. They had the Yarn Norman sale going on, and I picked up this Patons, I don't know the exact name of it, yarn. I will say this yarn was a lot easier to work with. However, it probably wasn't as good for this video because of the stitch definition, but I really like the yarn. This is a patch that I made over the course of a few days, and I'm just taking it and frogging it. If you ever hear someone say I'm frogging something, they're literally just taking the stitches out. They're taking the yarn and they're undoing all their work. That's what people mean by frogging. So I'm basically just repeating my steps working with this yarn. I'm doing the chain stitch, I'm doing a single crochet, and I'm going to work my way up to a half double crochet. So when I got to the end of my last row, to start my half double crochet, I chained one. I did like a regular chain stitch. So the stitch that you're going to stitch into is like a V on the top. If you look at it, you can't really see it in this video, but I'm pretty sure if you look at it up close, you can see like a clear V. You're going to go under those two stitches, and that's going to be where you put your new stitch. The half double crochet is similar to the single crochet, but with an extra yarn over. It creates a slightly taller, more open stitch than a single crochet. The half double crochet is similar to the single crochet, but with an extra yarn over. It creates a slightly taller, more open stitch than the single crochet. To work a half double crochet, you're going to put your yarn over the hook, insert the hook into the next stitch, put your yarn over the hook again, pull through one loop, yarn over again, and pull through all 3 loops. If you're currently following this video and you're frustrated, please don't give up. Like, I was so mad at myself editing this video because I went out of frame so many times because I was like super frustrated. The yarn was like in my face because I was trying to see what I was doing. But I will say I wanted to quit numerous times, but I didn't. Please, please, please do not give up. It just takes time and practice and just working with the yarn and making it feel comfortable in your hand. And please remember, this is me after a good 3 weeks of practicing for a few hours a day, watching 1,000 YouTube videos on how to crochet, and I'm still not perfect. I still struggle with my tension. I still struggle with the chain stitch. It just takes time. I feel like even the most experienced crocheters will tell you that the chain stitch is like the most difficult part. Now it looks like I'm working on a double crochet. The double crochet is a taller, more open stitch than the single crochet and half double crochet. It's worked by putting your yarn over the hook, inserting the hook into the next stitch, putting the yarn over the hook again, and pulling one loop. You're going to put your yarn over again and draw through 2 loops, then put your yarn over again and draw through the last 2 loops. I feel like once you get these basic steps, once you start trying to follow people's tutorials on YouTube, it becomes like so much easier. Gauge in crochet refers to the number of stitches and rows in a specific area of crochet fabric. So basically those granny squares that you see people doing, like the swatches, that's a gauge. It's important to achieve the correct gauge for a crochet project because it helps ensure that your finished item will be the right size and shape. This is especially helpful if you're following a pattern with preset sizes. To determine your gauge, you will need to crochet a small sample of fabric using the stitches and techniques called for in your pattern. The sample should be large enough to accurately measure, typically at least 4 inches square. Then you will count the number of stitches and rows in the sample and compare them to the gauge specified for the pattern. If your sample has more stitches and more rows per inch than the gauge, your crochet fabric is too tight and you need to use a larger hook. If your sample has fewer stitches and rows per inch than the gauge, your crochet fabric is too loose and you need to use a smaller hook or more tension. It's important to check your gauge before starting a crochet project, especially if you're making a garment or an item that needs to be fit to a specific size. If your gauge is not correct, your finished item may turn out too big or too small. I have officially learned how to crochet. My next project is going to be a blanket because I don't have one on my bed and I've been wanting one for a very long time. Please be encouraged. Don't give up. Keep trying. It takes a lot of hard work and practice, but you can do it. Just keep practicing.